Is Algebra 1, Lesson 4.3, quick graphs using intercepts, talking about the x and the y intercepts. We're finding intercepts of the graph of a linear equation, and we're using those to make quick graphs of linear equations, beginning on page 218. First thing, definition of what is an x-intercept, what is a y-intercept. The x-intercept is the x-coordinate of a point where a graph crosses the y-axis. Visually, the x-intercept, if this is the x-axis when the graph goes through, this is the x-intercept, the point where it crosses through the x-axis. Whatever that x value is, if that point right there would be at 1, 2, 3, so that point would be 3, 0, the x-intercept is simply 3. The y-intercept is the same thing. It is the y-coordinate of a point where a graph crosses the y-axis. Again, visually, the same thing. If this is the y-axis, it's this point right here where it crosses through the y-axis. If that were at 1, 2, 3, that would be 0, 3. The y-coordinate would simply, or the y-intercept would simply be 3. Finding intercepts is finding the x and y intercept of this graph. Negative 3x plus 4y is equal to 12. To find the x-intercept, if you're looking for the x-intercept, you plug in 0 in place of y. So in place of y, 4 times now 0. Notice 0 is plugged in place of y. Negative 3x plus 4 times 0. Anything times 0 is going to make it plus 0. So notice that part's gone on the next line. Negative 3x is equal to 12. In order to get x by itself, you divide by negative 3. When you divide it on both sides, 12 divided by negative 3, x's value is negative 4. So your x-intercept is negative 4. That means the line crosses through the x-axis at the point negative 4, 0. The same thing is true when you're finding the y-intercept, except when you're finding the y-intercept, that's the one you're looking for, y, then you're plugging in 0 in place of x. Same equation, negative 3 times x becomes negative 3 times 0 when you plug in 0 for x. Again, in essence, anything times 0 is going to cancel that out and leave you with 4y is equal to 12. 4y is equal to 12. Divide by 4 on both sides, and your y-intercept is 3. That means the line crosses through the y-axis at 0, 3. So finding the x-axis, all you have to do is remember to plug in 0 for y. That's the x-intercept. And finding the y-intercept, you plug in 0 for x. When you graph those equations, making a quick graph of it, you're doing the same thing. You find each of the intercepts, and then you plot that point. So to find the x-intercept, we're plugging in 0 in place of y. So 2.5 times 0 is 0. So what we're left with, this part is gone. 3x is equal to 7.5. When you divide by 3 on both sides, your x-intercept is at 2.5. So on a graph, this is x. If this is 1, this is 2, and this is 3, it's crossing through at 2.5. We'll get to that part in just a second, though. For the y-intercept, you're plugging in 0 in place of x. 3 times 0, again, cancels that part out and leaves you simply with 2.5 times y is equal to 7.5. When you divide by 2.5, you get y's intercept at 3. Again, on a picture, if this is your y-axis at 1, 2, 3 is where it's going to cross through. So when you plot those 2 points, 2.5 for your x value, that's what I showed you a minute ago, and 0, 3, or simply 3 for your y value. Once you have 2 points, you can draw a line through the 2 points. Okay, on the back, everybody, let's find the x and y intercept of 4x plus 3y is equal to 12. Remember, when you're looking for an intercept, plug in 0 for the opposite letter. So let's just real quick, let's take it in steps. Look for the x-intercept. Let's do that. Let's take about 20 seconds to do that. Okay, when you're looking for the x-intercept, you plug it in 0 for the opposite one, which is y. So you have an equation that says 4x plus 3 times 0 is equal to 12. Remember, anything times 0 cancels that part out. Leaves you simply with 4x equals 12. And when you divide by 4 on both sides, your x-intercept is 3. Let's find the y-intercept. Take 20 seconds to do that one. And again, if you're looking for the y-intercept, you're plugging in 0 for the opposite variable, x. So 4 times 0 plus 3 times y is equal to 12. Anything times 0, again, eliminates that part because it becomes nothing. 3y is equal to 12. When you divide by 3 on both sides, y-intercept is equal to 4. So now let's do that one more time, right next to that, and let's graph this equation. X minus 2 is equal to 4y. Graph this one. Remember, find the x-intercept by plugging in 0 for y. Find the y-intercept by plugging in 0 for x. Once you find those 2 points, graph them on each of the axes and then draw a line. Take about 1 minute. All right, let's see how we did. To find the x-intercept, we're plugging in 0 for y. So x minus 2 equals 4 times 0. X minus 2 equals 0. Get x by itself by adding 2 to both sides. X-intercept is 2. So where your x-axis is at positive 1, 2 is where it's going to cross through. Your y-intercept, you're plugging in 0 for x. So 0 minus 2 is 4y. Negative 2 equals 4y. Divide by 4 on both sides. Y equals negative 2 divided by 4 is the same thing as negative 1 over 2. So y-axis is at negative 1/2. If this is negative 1, it'll cross through at negative 1/2. Once you have 2 points, you can draw a straight line better than I just did through those 2 points to make your graph look like that. And on your checkpoint, it says find the x-intercept and y-intercept of the graph. We're going to go quick through this. For your x-intercept, you're plugging in 0 right there. Negative 4x plus 5 times 0 is 20. This part's gone. Negative 4x equals 20. Divide by negative 4. X is negative 5. So at negative 5, it's going to cross through. For your y-intercept, you're plugging in 0 here. Negative 4 times 0 plus 5y is 20. This is gone. 5y is 20. Divide by 5, y is 4. So on your y-axis, it crosses through at 4. You have 2 points. You can draw a straight line through those 2 points.